Hey, what's up, dudes? What's up? What's up? What's happening? What's happening? How are you today? Today is a good day. Today, I had a good nap. I'm recovering from this fucking godforsaken cold. And I'm bouncing back, but it's a gradual process. I'm still feeling kind of shitty. Not gonna lie. Thus why I took the nap. So, it did help. Anyway, what did we do yesterday? Oh, gotta set the timer. Gotta set that timer, baby. Let's crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. 68 minutes. Sitting, focused, in the zone. Let's finish this shit, bro, so I can fucking move on. Please. Alright. Okay. Don't rush the process. Don't rush the process. Okay. Timer's set. Yesterday, what did we do? We only did an hour, unfortunately. But an hour is an hour. We continued working on populating the database master save object list with all of the proper objects that need to be saved for use in save state, load state. We stopped at line 31 in things to do. So let's go over there. And just a tip, when you're programming, the number one thing, in my opinion, is documentation. Writing notes next to your code, above your code, in the line with the code, what you thought about, if it was important, have a things to do, have a notes file, all those things. That is the most important thing, keeping track of your work in devlog. And also triple checking your code, triple checking whether or not you need to do what you're thinking you're gonna do and what you're about to do, so that you don't waste any time. Okay, so in light of my advice, do we really need to do this? We went through this. This is the new version of the save system. We want to make sure we're doing it correctly, and the goal here is to basically create this master list that will encompass, have the name of all the different data points that need to be saved. So for like the entire game, every data point, everything that needs to be saved, we're gonna make sure we're saving that. Well, how are we accomplishing it? Well, the way that we're doing that is through having this master list, which has all the everything in it. We're gonna iterate through this list when we run the save state function, and we're just gonna have special code for each item. Some of it we don't need special code. Some of it we can just basically do a get adder, or something that could be used over and over again for a lot of different simple things, like the player's name, the simple things. But like other more complicated objects, we have to do a little bit of code execution to get what we need out of that object. So is this something that we need to do? Yeah, I would say yeah. I'm still with it. I still feel like this is the way to go, and that I'm not wasting my time doing this. So let's go ahead. And they made this way too long. 30 minutes, bro. Nobody wants to look. No. 30 minutes, bro. The answer is no. Okay? Alright, so here we go. Where are we picking up? We picking up right here where we left off, which is C1 change attribute list. We're determining whether or not we need to save this data. Now this is a good one because honestly, like, so what is what is this attribute list? This is the whenever we change something on the client side, it gets added to this list, and basically it's like the queue for things that need to be transferred to the server side, to the server. So I don't think that we need to transfer this. I mean, to save this, because this is at the beginning. This save checkpoint is at the beginning of the main while loop, right? So, let's bring client over here. Let's look. So we have client, we have our main while loop. Basically up here somewhere, wherever it is. Main while loop. It's right here. This is our main while loop right here. And as long as we're gonna have our save checkpoint like right here at the beginning. So I feel like the change attribute list is not needed. Well, okay, hold on. Actually, I think we may need this because this exists, like, it is populated throughout many while loops. So there's basically this principle that it helps me determine whether or not I need to save something or not. And the principle is this: if it's something that like starts and ends within the main while loop, I don't need to save it. If it's something that gets like created or like comes into existence within the while loop and then gets used within that while loop and is not needed again after that iteration of this loop, you know what I mean, of this code execution, then that basically means we don't need to save it because the save point is at the beginning of this while loop. So it's just taking a snapshot of the state of the game at the beginning of each iteration of this. Now, with that said, C1 change attribute list, if I'm correct in my remembering, this is something that is actually populated throughout the playing of the game, and I think it remains populated, i.e. like if we didn't save it, we would be losing essential game data. I need to verify this though, because we have a lot of interactions with this list. Like, it's hard to explain it's hard to put into just plain English, but we'll just let the code speak. So we got in card, we import this, we don't actually use it here. What is this for? This is saying append specific data change to the C1 change attribute list, since this is a shared object. Yeah, so when we run data transfer function, it doesn't explicitly use this namespace, but that is indeed what happens. This data gets added to the change attribute list. So anytime we change in-game data, it gets added to this list. That's like the first step before we transfer it. So let's say at the end of a while loop, like whenever we run draw window main, the client will change some data through a click or whatever, and that is going to get added to the change attribute list. And if I'm understanding correctly, at the start of the next while loop, we will need that, like that will be needed because we're going to use that data. Because I'm pretty sure it goes from the change attribute list, and then it goes from there, and it goes all the way to basically the apply section where we, well no, this would be the send section. It would get to the send section and it would check to see if the it would check to see if it is populated. If the change attribute list is populated, then it would send the data. And I'm thinking that if we had our main while loop structured in a particular way, we wouldn't actually need to save it. Like, technically, if we drew the window first, like if we had it ordered differently, we wouldn't, but I'm pretty sure we do. So let me just go ahead and triple check this. So this is where it originally exists in the change attribute list file. See, so we refer to these C1 or C2 change attribute lists through the cal object, and then what we end up doing is we end up incrementing our counter, create the cal tube, and then we go ahead and append this tube to the object. And then what do we do? Let's go check out our client. Okay, so then let's see. Honestly, this is such a muddy like object. It is used in a strange way. I need to make sure I get this right. If length of C1 change attribute is greater, okay, here we go. So at the beginning of the send section, we check the length of it. So it needs to be populated at this point. And you can see this is prior. Well, actually, it's after draw window main. So wait a second, we might not actually need this. We might not need to save it because if the length of it is greater than 0, and like I'm quite certain the changes that would contribute to items being added to this list would all happen right here at draw window main. Because each while loop iteration is one frame, basically. If I like understand it correctly, and I should at this point. So we draw the window. The client makes changes through the graphical interface. The changes get appended to the appropriate change attribute list. Now, if that list is at this point populated after we do that, then we assign current client change attribute list to this object, and then we see if it's greater than 0. If it is, we go ahead and begin the process of sending this data. Now I just need to make sure, do we send all of it? So the pre-serialized data includes the entire change attribute list. And then we have pickle dumps pre-serialized data. So we serialize it, then we send it. Okay, and then we clear the change attribute list. Clears everything that was sent over the network from the current client change attribute list and C1, C2 change attribute list since they refer to the same object. This can be done on CS since single threaded. Right, okay, because on the server side it's a little different. But on the client side, there would be no way. So the pertinent question is, could that list end up being populated like again before the beginning of the next iteration of the main while loop? And I think the answer to that is no. Since it gets cleared right here and we check the length of it here, and like it's all or nothing. We have all of the list, then we send all of the list right here. We serialize it, and then we go ahead and we send that data. And then we go ahead and we completely clear this change attribute list. So it's all gone at this point in time. So it's basically like that principle I was talking about. If it is generated, used, and then like cleared or is no longer necessary, like at a certain point in the main while loop, and doesn't need to persist during multiple iterations, which I'm pretty sure this doesn't. Like this is, I'm certain now. So we don't need this. Good job. Alright, so let's go over here. See that we were nice and careful. We took our time. We did it correctly, and that's the most important thing. Alright. So this is going to be a big no. Big no. And then C2 is just the client 2 counterpart of this same object, so that's going to also be big no as well. Now we have this re-entrant lock. That is that's going to be a big no. I just already know that, because that's only used whenever you're appending or modifying the change attribute list. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think we use the lock on the client side because we don't have multi-threading. Now, C1 apply counter. Okay, so this we might need. We may need this. Because this is something that starts off at like 1, and as we so there's the expect counter and then the apply counter. But the apply counter, and what about the expect counter? That's got to be associated with a different file then, because we do have the expect counter. I'm just like, where is the expect counter? That's probably associated with client, so I'm not going to stress about that. It'll show up. Actually, just to be safe, let me check this out real quick. Client old, no. Here we go. Client. C1 expect counter is okay, so it's associated with client. That's why we haven't seen it yet. It's not a part of changed attribute list, and that's the file that we're dealing with right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at C1 apply counter. This one, I don't know about this one. We might need to. It's a counter that is incremented by 1 every time a data point change that is transferred over the network is made. Right, so the apply counter goes with your data change. It is going to be sent over the network and compared against the expect counter. So it's going to be what does it expect, and the apply counter is actually what it gets. I know that naming isn't actually perfect, but it's okay. So this, what do we do here? We do blah 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 blah. C1 global C1 apply counter. C1 apply counter plus equals 1. So we increment this inside of starts off at 0. We pass it to and why didn't we just make this a class? I don't know. Anyway, it's not that important. So it starts at 0. It's passed to this function. It uses the global. And so every time this function is called, it needs that global. And it will go here in this function, and it will increment it. Okay, and that's where it ends up in the cal tube, and that gets appended to the change attribute list. So that gets appended to the change attribute list that we were just talking about. Okay, so this is client side. Draw window main happens, a data point change is made, then we increment this apply counter. So I think we need to save this because this is something that is used throughout many while loop iterations. It starts off at 0. As the while loop iterates, if a data point change is made, it basically gets incremented plus equal 1 each time. So I'll say this does need to be saved, because let's say, you know, on a certain iteration of the while loop, the value for this is 13. Well, then we get disconnected, and then you need to reconnect. Well, when you reconnect, the default setting is it's going to reset back to 0. And that will mess everything up, because then you'll be having your apply counter back to 0. The expect counter on the other side of the network is going to be expecting 12 or 13 or whatever, and it's going to get 0, and it's going to just destroy the game. It's not going to work. So we have to save this. Good job. Alright, let's go over here. Close this out. What is this? So this is going to be a big yes. And this is going to be a big yes. Alright, now we have time tube. Time tube. I don't know. I don't know about that. And did we include globals? I need to make sure we do this. Let me... Where can I put this note at? I guess I'll just put it right here. We'll say ensure checking globals as well as adders. Yeah, so hopefully I remember. Can I do the thing to make it turn green? No. Something made it turn green though. There it is. So just asterisk makes it turn green in a text file. So if we do that, that will help me remember. Alright, so last one is time tube. Let's go ahead and check for that. Alright, so time tube is... What is the time tube? Okay, the time tube is literally just a tuple of strings. So we don't need this. Right? Yeah, we don't need that, dude. It's just a tuple of strings, dog. So let's go ahead and we'll say time tube is gonna be a no-go. So we'll close this. This is gonna turn into no. There you go. Alright, so we're done here. I want to say the way that we were doing this was we're adding to the master save object list once we finish a file. All the things that ended up being yes, we added to the file. So yesterday we did card file and we had display layer X and Y and everything else was a no. So we have card group dict added to the object list, which handles it does handle all three of those. So that one is done. We're gonna do the same thing for the change attribute list file that we just did. So now we're going to add this in. So let's see, no, 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 yes. So the only yes was the C1 apply counter and the C2 apply counter. And we could just say we could just say apply counter. But I actually prefer being explicit about which, like, it's fine to do it this way. So we'll do it that way. Because then you still have to determine, well, you could use a for loop and just iterate, save both of them. We could do that. I like it this way better. We'll just leave it explicit like that. It's really 6 one way, half a dozen the other. It's semantics. Is that what the word semantics? Alright, so change attribute list is done. Alright, just to verify, no, 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 yes, yes, no. So this one is done. Booyah. Moving on to the next. Okay, so the next one is going to be client. So let's go over to client, which we already have open over here. And this is going to be a big one. This is a big one. This is like probably the biggest one. So I need to make sure I do this correctly here. Let me stretch it out. And we will see. Change this to current so that we know this is the one we're working on, and I can feel this fucking cold. Like I can feel my sinuses. I can just feel it suppressing my energy and all the good things. Remember, need to save globals as well as adders. Glad I added that just to be sure. Okay. So let's go ahead. Start at the top. And I was just thinking, I should add a note here to remember that this is going to be called in the context. Remember that goes. I'm going to put also here. Also remember that this function will be called in the context of the client py file. Therefore, if referring to objects has to be in format of, you know, has to refer properly. I'll know what I mean, hopefully. I try to be explicit in my descriptions, but I should know what I mean by that. Alright, so we don't have to worry about these imports. We don't have to worry about that. That is another file stuff, so we don't need to worry about this. We don't have to worry about that stuff either. Don't have to worry about that shit. Time to don't worry about that. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting there. Alright, so I guess we will... I guess we need to... I should have separated this into adders versus like globals, because that does matter. How we're gonna have to refer to them in the final like form of the save function, you know? To summon the value of it, we have to have the proper namespace, right? It's like the password. The namespace is the password. Okay. So I'll just do it like this. We'll say adders, and then we're gonna do the second is gonna be globals, like whatever, or we could just call it vars. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so for adders, we got ID. And remember, we're just... First, we just write it down. We don't know, like, are we gonna... We're not asking that question and answering it. We're just asking the question. We're gonna come back and answer it. Does that make sense? So now we have checkpoint ID. And we might not actually need checkpoint ID. Might not. Keyword might not. We got our C1 expect counter. You know what I'm saying? And then we're just going to have our C2, so we can just copy that. Now, we also have the... scroll down here. C1 to C1 received data storage dict. Oh yeah, I already know. Newsflash, buddy. You're gonna have to save that one. I think. C1 to C2. And then you got C2 to C1. And C2 to C2. So we got 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 1, and 2 to 2. I know, it's complicated. Trust me, I fucking know. It's not that complicated. Alright, ink data. I mean, I can type faster than I can fucking go back and forth and copy. I feel like I can just do like this. Is reconnect. Bam, yeah, this is faster. And we'll just paste this like bam, 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 bam. There you go. And then there you go. What's next? Is reconnect. Received cal tuple list. Received changed attribute list. Received changed attribute list. Make sure I'm typing it correctly. Received data. Alright. What else we got? Received time. Received time. Didn't we already do change attribute list? Oh no, that was C1 change attribute list. Gotcha. True. Do not send adder bool. Spoiler alert. I don't think we're gonna need that one. Oh, received cal tube list. We might need that one. Save file offset dictionary. I don't think we need that anymore because we don't use offsets. I think that's something that's to be removed. And then soft disconnect. I don't know about that. I think we would need to save that one because that is used explicitly for reconnecting to determine what type of disconnect it was. Does that make sense? So all this shit's local, obviously, because it's passed to the function. This is where we get to the point of dealing with non-adders. These are going to be globals or just like variables or whatever. So let's go through this. Alright, so we got just go line by line here and see what we need. Okay, so here's one. Game ID. Now, yeah, this is like, what do you call it? Locally generated, locally used, not something that we would need to save. Con equals nconnect. So this is for the menu screen. Like, this doesn't matter, right? This is just this is gonna be generated. This is all basically derivative. It's like a domino effect here. It's not necessarily relying on a quote-unquote global. These are local variables. They're actually globals, but they're used in a local sense. Does that make sense? Con equals nconnect. Local or remote equals remote. See, this is all generated based on your choices. Client ID, game ID. Yeah, all this is transferred through the network. So this is for a new game, that's why. Client ID, game ID equals get client and game ID, serialized client ID, serialized game. Yeah, all this is like we don't need to save it. It's generated. If you're reconnecting the object name iterable, so this is grabbing from a database. We don't need to save that, obviously, because it's already like saved to a database. Current client equals client. Where do we get client from? I don't know. Well, it's got to be somewhere, right? It didn't just pop up on it out of nowhere. Hopefully, unless it's a bug. But current client, I don't know. Should we save that? Well, no, because it's derivative, right? It's all derivative through this. If you're reconnecting, it's going to take care of that for you. Like, we don't need to save it because it's it would be redundant to save it because it's already going to be assigned again, right? Yeah. So if client ID is equal to 1, we set all this. So this is all just derivative. We don't need to save any of this shit, I don't think. Now, these objects, we would need to save these, but this is like... that's the object is going to be loaded in and then modified in such a way, and that's going to be handled in each individual file associated with each object. Like this is going to be handled in the game object, this one's going to be handled in the game file, this one's going to be handled in the player file, which we haven't got to yet. So this we do have to save, but not like from this perspective of the client file, if that makes sense. Same thing here, this is just 1 versus 2 scenario. Then we have client solve disconnect is equal to false, blah blah shit. Current game set by game video mode. That's, don't need to save that obviously. Setup. Then we have our main while loop. Okay, so far so good. Soft disconnect, that's an adder, we already took care of that. This is a function, so that's definitely gonna, yeah, this is referring to other objects. Coordinate get blah 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 blah. If true, we don't want to read your notes, dude. Ready, select. So should we save ready? Well, no, because ready is generated per while loop, right? It's not like something that needs to be saved. So if ready, current client receive data. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit of a unique situation. This is, I already thought about this in the past, like, so it's a little bit of a side track, but it's, I'm gonna talk myself through it here to get it right in my head. So if we disconnect, like let's say we receive some, well, no, that wouldn't work. That we don't need to worry about this, because this is just another condition of the while loop. So if there's anything ready to be received, ready means if the server is sending something to us. If there's something that's ready to be received, like in the network buffer, I guess you would call it, then we would go ahead and receive it. And until we receive it, it is basically in this nebulous space where if we get disconnected, it is just lost. But we're gonna have logic in place to account for this, so that whenever we reconnect, we're going to determine if there was data that had been sent by the server but had not actually been received. So if something might have made it to ready, like if it was sent but never received on the client side, we will have logic to account for that. So this is not something we need to worry about, like having special, circumstances for or whatever. Then you have current client, receive data, sender ID, send ID, core data. Alright, let's see. That's an adder. Sender ID. Well, so this is derivative of received data. So basically, I don't think we do need to do this, do we? Yeah, this is just derivative of received data. And I'm stressing about this because I know, like, hey, we're gonna lose data. But I'm like, dude, you already know you're gonna add logic in to account for this. If you lose this data, we're gonna have special reconnect logic to handle that scenario. We'll just get the server to resend the data. It will re-enter into ready. We'll have our own little separate, like, segmented section that, checks ready in its own little space and gets it all back up to speed, if you will. So sender ID, send IDs, core data, this is all derivative of received data. So I don't think we're going to need to save any of this. Then what do we have here? The sent data storage dictionary. So this is just a namespace manipulation. You can just call it magic, whatever. This is just a way to refer to another object through a singular namespace, so we can refer to like it becomes variable. We can assign, you know, any different there's 4 actual storage dictionaries. We pick which one we want to be assigned to this namespace. So saving this would just be akin to saving the actual storage dictionary, because it refers to the same memory space. Therefore, we don't need to save that. This is just an extension of that section. We then have received data storage dict at send ID. So this just adds to the storage dictionary. Again, that's the storage dict adder. We don't need to worry about that. Core data equal to list. Current client receive time. And you know what I was just thinking? We might be able to modify this section to where we don't even have to have special logic for reconnect, like basically a duplicate of this section to rerun in that like independent environment, if you will, or like isolated instance. Rather, we might just be able to actually modify this existing logic so that it will capture that scenario and just redirect to maybe a function that would handle, I don't know. I know what I'm saying, but I don't want to go that deep into this right now. This is not the task that I'm focusing on right now. I will put a note. I'll just put a note real quick. That's all. 430.25. We're going to say consider adding logic here to account for whenever data was lost during DC that had been sent but not received officially. Just say, i.e., instead of creating a duplicate of this section to be run in that case, perhaps we could simply modify logic here to handle it a bit more efficiently. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so moving on. If ready at 0, current client received data, don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about this. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Frame, don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Sender ID, yep, don't need that. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. 1 current clients C1 send ID. Yeah, I don't need that. Verification send ID dict at current client ID sender ID. Don't need it. Pre-serialized data. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Sent data storage dict at receive verification send ID. Don't need it. Okay. So this is the incrementing of the send ID. The append to the cal tuplus. All this shit. Yeah, we don't need that. Great. In case we're seeing receive verification or recent request. Take core data, delete, send data storage, request storage data, reset. Apply list. If the length, this is all derivative of the receive cal tuple list. Yeah, this is all derivative from that. And list append. So the apply list is it's locally created, locally populated, and then iterated through in the same while loop iteration. So this is not something we need to worry about. Dir string var equals toop. This is all derivative shit. The current client ID, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so this can get deleted right here. This determine that we need a checkpoint here at the end of each iteration through the apply list. We don't need that because we have it at the beginning. Didn't we determine having a checkpoint at the beginning of each loop is the same as having it at the beginning? We don't need one at the beginning. Yeah. If we reach a checkpoint, the inner checkpoints that occur within dir check, i.e. append clear, all that data would not be considered stable save state. I suppose if we didn't reach this checkpoint. Yeah, I don't need these notes any more. They're gone. Let them fade away. All right. Almost done. Putting me to sleep here. Preserialized data message head. Da, 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 da. Okay, we did it. Damn. There you go. That's it. Cool. So there's no globals. It's just adders, so we can just delete this completely. We can just delete this little subset as well. There's only one set. Now we have to go through and determine which is going to be a yes or a no. So let's go up to the tippity top here to the adders. And all right, so we're starting at ID. Okay, so ID. Let's see if we need to save this. I thought like this already got saved. Didn't we already create this, like the code that saves this? Or did I totally just make that up? Like I know we need it because, or is it assigned? Well, let's go ahead and look, dude, instead of asking. Alright, so let's highlight it. Do Control F. Oh, there's 252. Well, we're just going to go through these rather quickly. So there's a lot of different IDs here. It's going to be hard to find. Maybe we could just do .id. That would, yeah, that would do it, right? And there's only 44 of those. No, we don't need the notes, baby. We don't need the notes anymore. So what is this? We have, okay, this is dir check. We don't need to worry about it in dir check. Current client ID. Okay, so it gets assigned. This gets assigned at the beginning of the game. So this is actually prior to the main while loop. So you... Yeah, so technically you're not even like in a quote-unquote game yet. You are connected... Like you're not connected to a game yet. You know what I'm saying? You're not online. You're offline at this point. So this is something I would say we don't need to save it if it's going to be assigned at the beginning of the, like at the very beginning. So we get it from the server. The server sends this. But if it's a reconnect, we don't really need to get it from the server. We could just get it from local. You know what I mean? If it's a reconnect. So select object value, object name, interval, rows, serialized dig result, decline ID. Okay, so we do get it in the case of a reconnect. we do get it from the database instead of the network, but if it's a new connection, the server assigns it to us. So ultimately, we do not need this. I don't think we do, anyway. 7, 8. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay. That's already gonna be set up for us. So this is gonna be a no. Well, let me just go through just to make sure. Yeah, we just check it here at the beginning of the main while loop. So it's already gonna be assigned. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this we don't need. Don't need it. Cool. So this is no. It took a little longer than it should have. Checkpoint ID. All right. Copy that. Go over here and we'll paste in checkpoint ID. Okay, there's only 6 of these, so it's gonna be quick. The ID associated with each stable set. Yeah, we don't actually have this implemented yet. This is like part of the checkpoint system that we're adding, and basically I don't even think we're going to use this, frankly, at this point in time. So this is going to be a no. Well, actually, I'll just say yes for now. If we end up removing it, then like we can just remove it. But if we did need it, you know, I just really don't think we're gonna use the checkpoint thing. I think this once save per frame is gonna be sufficient. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not making a AAA title. People like, you know what I'm saying? This is just a little game that I made. It's not meant to be that perfect. So it doesn't have to be up to the nanosecond, dude. It's not Call of Duty or nothing. I'll say no to the checkpoint ID. Yeah, we're just gonna say no to that because it doesn't even really exist anyway. Alright, C1 expect counter. Let's copy that bad boy, go over here, Control F, and let's check it out. Alright, so we have our expect counter. The expect counter is default to something. It's default to 1. And then if 24 is equal to current client, okay, and then we increment it. And then it gets incremented. So I would say this does need to be saved because this is inside of the application section, and it's just like the apply counter. It is like used throughout many while loop iterations, so it would need to be restored to whatever value it was upon each disconnect or whatever. So we're gonna say yes to this. This needs to be saved. We'll say yes. Alright, so what's next? Received data storage dictionary. Alright, let's check it out, dude. Let's go over here, paste that shit in. So we got I already know what this is, and I think this will need to be saved because this is something that is modified. Yeah, so we modify it through this namespace, or we have the. Let's see, when do we populate this? Where is it populated? Dict2 equals current. For dictionary, dict2 blank dictionary for key, copy core data. What does this do? This filters. What does it filter? It filters out stuff from the storage dictionary. If sender ID, okay. And then we add to it during the if ready section. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? I like it. Okay. I like it though. Yeah, receive data source to add send ID. So we modify it. It's created outside of the while loop. It is modified inside of the while loop, and I think it is used. It is used throughout many while loops. Therefore, we need it to be saved. I think so. So we have if center ID is equal to 1 proper received data storage dict use current client C1 to C1 received data storage dict. What do we do here? Proper blah blah blah. So receive change attribute list equals proper received data storage dict. Receive from the blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, we need it. We do. Yes. So it's gonna be a yes. 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 Whoa, whoa, whoa. We need caps, dude. What you freaking smoking dope, bro? Smoking on that shit, huh? Ink data. Whoa. Ink data. What is this? This is the network data. It is to preserve the ink data pre-deserialization. Oh, man. We don't even use it. What you mean? What you mean, bruh? Wait, what? We don't actually use this. We must have changed the way, like, the namespace. I kind of remember this. Like, let's see. When we do receive, if we receive data, we just say current client received data. Yeah, we modified all that. We kind of did some like hot potato shit that we didn't need to do, turn it from ink data to receive data. It's like we just I fixed that shit, bro. So I don't think we use ink data anymore. We changed it to be received data, and I guess I forgot to actually remove ink data. So like, yeah, if it's not in this file other than right here, because we have received data, see, network data to preserve the received data. See, so this was pre-deserialization. This is why documentation is important, and this was post-deserialization. So we basically just removed this altogether, like whenever we do this receive section, we receive it. Okay, and it internally handles unpickling deserialized. So that's handled through the network.receive now. So there is no like, there's no such thing as ink data anymore. So we can actually get rid of this. This is not a thing. It are no longer a thing. Yeah. You know what my favorite thing to do when I'm coding? It's to get rid of dead code. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite. But now we have to fix references to it. Checks for special case skeleton. What is this? In dir check for if add our name string skeleton, click a blah 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 blah. Okay, creates a shortened cargo name without skeleton. Checks current client timestamp against the ink data. Received timestamp flow. This would actually be the received data, baby. Yeah, dumbass. If the ink data received is a later, this is going to be the received data. What a doofus. It's later than... This is the same line. 280... No, it's not. That was the same line. 240. 240, 240. But the next one, it's a different line. 283. This is apply data. If add name string is in time type and local timestamp is later than... I mean, obviously this is going to refer to receive because it's for the receive section. So I would say this has to refer to received data. Yeah, 283. Is it supposed we do not apply ink data? Yeah, it's gotta be received data. I like to make sure my shit's correct. I'm gonna remove my double stamp of approval from this line because I'm not 1000% sure. But I'm like 90. I'm 99.9% sure. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and roll with that. And then let's get... This is 286, so this is gonna be the same thing. The same thing. We do not apply ink data. Received data. True that. Alright. Oh fuck. Why is this hour so long, dude? I feel like I've been sitting here forever, dude. Okay, so ink data is no longer a thing, actually. So let's just remove this completely. Alright, is reconnect. Let's go ahead and copy. FV is reconnect. Let's see, there's 4 of those. This is used to determine if setup needs to be run. Is set after we determine if it is a reconnect or not. If is, sets this to true. Wait. Default to false. Change to true if found to be a reconnect. So this is determined outside of the main while loop. Okay, so this is derivative. If it's derivative, yeah, we don't need it. Does this make sense, dude? I gotta go get a fucking car battery. I forgot. Hopefully I can make it up there without breaking down. I'm kind of nervous. I mean, I should be able to get a jump from somebody, but I don't want to. I might just take my motorcycle. But the car battery is really heavy. I really don't want to put a car battery. Car battery is pretty fucking heavy, and I don't have like a milk crate on my motorcycle like my other one did. I just have a saddle bag or a book bag. I mean, I could just put it in a book bag, but it's gonna be heavy carrying a car battery on my back in the book bag. Car battery's what, like? Well, mine's kind of small. It's a little Kia Soul, so it's like, it's got one of the smallest batteries. I'd say it's probably about 40 pounds, maybe 60. I wouldn't say much more than that. Max 80. So I can carry that on my back. I'll be good. Should have got one earlier. I forgot. It's all good. Okay, so is reconnect is going to be a big no. And now we're going to go ahead and take a break. I might actually just go get that car battery. Oh, fuck. And then come back. Oh, because the auto center closes at a certain time. Anyway, I'll be back. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that because I'm feeling a little drained anyway. So we're gonna do the taking a break. I'm gonna go run up to Walmart and get the shit that I need real quick, and plus the auto center might close. All right, so yeah, I plan on doing another session. I might not, but I need to because I need to get more hours in. 1 hour a day is just not enough. I need like at least 2. But the cold fucked me up, so I need my naps as well. Anyway, I'll be back. Good progress. It's mundane work, but it was still good progress, so I can't really be like pissed off about it. So I'll be back, maybe.